There was once a time where Skip Bayless was arguably the biggest sports media personality in the world, because whether you loved him or hated him, you always had to tune into what he had to say, and that reflected the popularity that shows like First Take and Undisputed had gained. He was one of the early pioneers of sports debate shows, and was one of the most entertaining trolls we've ever seen. But all of those things that's made him as successful as he is ultimately what's leading to his demise. Today, we're going to break down how Skip Bayless failed to evolve with the times, and we're going to find out what happens next after he reportedly parted ways with Undisputed. If you were to tell me exactly 1 year ago that Skip Bayless would have parted ways with Fox and Undisputed, then honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised, because Skip Bayless was getting more and more out of control as the episodes would go on, with him saying even more outlandish things than usual. And one person that was getting tired of it was his co-host, Shannon Sharp, because their debates were getting way more personal than it ever had to be.
Hey, wait a minute. This is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he is still playing at a high level at 45 when you had to stop at 35.
Skip, that's what you do.
That's the point.
That's what you do. What I did, you make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I got three Super Bowls.
So what?
So what?
He's way better than you were.
I'm better than you. Skip, what did I got to see what you do? You take personal shots.
No, I don't take personal shots. You started it.
Time out.
Talking about.
You would take a personal
Put your glasses back on.
And that right there was the moment that Skip and Shannon Undisputed had ended, because Skip was willing to take personal shots at his partner and one of his friends just to uplift someone else who he considered the GOAT. But let's be real, that's exactly how Skip Bayless got popular, because he made a career out of clinging onto one player and then completely bashing another. And no player got bashed by Skip Bayless more than LeBron. In 2009, when LeBron James won his first MVP, he was one of the most beloved players in the NBA, and it would have been extremely difficult to find anyone who had anything negative to say about him. But that was until he was eliminated by the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals, and despite playing well, he was scrutinized by Skip Bayless for any little mistake that he made. And this type of hate will be what propelled him into sports media superstardom for years to come, because as years would go on, and as LeBron James was still fighting to get over the hump, the trolling grew even louder, and then it reached a peak in the 2011 finals when the Big Three Miami Heat failed to win a title against the Mavericks. And LeBron James in this series didn't play too well, so Skip Bayless ate this up and relentlessly criticized him, with him saying things like,
"He was a disaster in the fourth quarter of that game. A disaster."
This way of covering athletes was polarizing, because never in sports media history has someone went at a player to this degree. But love it or hate it, it was working, because Skip Bayless made First Take arguably the most popular morning sports show of all time, and it has set the standard for what many debate shows today are trying to be like. So now, you're probably wondering, if Skip Bayless made debate shows popular, then why as of right now is his current show Undisputed doing so poorly, and why did First Take do so well? And to answer that question, we have to take a look at this guy.
This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory that he can do 2 times in a row. He has no game whatsoever. Plays no defense. Doesn't have the heart, the passion, or anything that comes with it. And you're asking me whether they gave up too much? Please. The Los Angeles Lakers knew exactly what they were doing. They should be celebrating right now, and Kobe Bryant should not be saying a word.
His contract comes off the book.
When you really think about it, Stephen A. Smith was the most perfect guy for Skip to sit across from and debate with, because they complemented each other so well. Skip Bayless was a bad guy, spitting hot takes left and right that really made no sense, and Stephen A. Smith was a charismatic good guy. And whenever Skip would say something utterly ridiculous, he would respond in the most entertaining way possible, and that was a great dynamic. And as the years went on, First Take would produce classic moment after classic moment. It didn't matter if they're talking about LeBron, Tim Tebow, Tom Brady, Johnny Manziel, and of course the Cowboys. When First Take came on, your eyes were glued to the screen. But in the summer 2016, Skip Bayless' contract had come to an end, and he was ready for a change and a new challenge. So he left First Take and he joined Fox Sports 1, but he needed another guy. So he chose NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe. Now in hindsight, this looked as a great move, but at the time, that wasn't the case, because according to Skip, he had to fight to get Shannon on the show because Fox was looking to pair him with another established journalist. And that's understandable because yes, you played football and you know the game so well, but can you talk basketball and baseball and all the other mainstream sports? Now Shannon Sharpe wasn't most knowledgeable about those other sports, but he knew just enough and his personality carried him the rest of the way. And luckily for Skip, this paid off tremendously. And I know I said that Stephen A. Smith was the most perfect guy for Skip to sit across from and debate with, but there's an argument that could be made that it was really Shannon, because he was charismatic just like Stephen A., but on top of that, he was a die-hard LeBron fan, and as we all know, Skip was a #1 LeBron hater. And that dynamic easily made the show rival the new First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. But as the years went on, some problems started to arise, because Skip Bayless' entire persona was that I know more than you, and let me give you these misleading facts in order to prove why. And against other journalists that didn't play professionally, that would work. But he wasn't going up against any other journalists. He was going up against a Hall of Famer who was infinitely more knowledgeable about football than him. Now they debated basketball too, and many other sports topics, but for the most part, Skip and Shannon's biggest arguments came when they were talking football, and none more bigger than when they were talking about Tom Brady. And after that argument, you could tell that Shannon was done. And reports came out that after the 2023 NBA Finals was over, Shannon Sharpe would be leaving Fox Sports 1. And that was essentially the end of Skip Bayless on top. So now, the new Undisputed was getting ready to air, and Skip didn't just have one guy to debate with, he had a whole team with him adding Michael Irvin, Richard Sherman, and Keyshawn Johnson. But it became apparent very quickly that this dynamic was simply not working, and the ratings for Undisputed were terrible, and as the time would go on, they would try to bring in different people, including celebrities, but none of it helped, and at that point you couldn't deny that Skip Bayless and Undisputed had become irrelevant. So now, after hearing all this, the reason why Skip Bayless is no longer on top like he used to be is simple. For one, Skip Bayless' entire persona and character got old, and that was before the big split up with Shannon Sharpe, because at a certain point during their time together, all they would talk about was Tom Brady, the Dallas Cowboys, and of course MJ versus LeBron. And then if they had time in the show, they would talk about what actually happened in the sports world that day. But as the time went on, fans of shows like Undisputed and First Take either got tired of it or they grew up, because when those shows were at their peak, a good portion of their fans were in high school or even younger. But as they got older, they noticed that it was all a gimmick and stopped watching. And right on cue, we saw the rise of the new media led by guys like Draymond Green and JJ Redick. And what they wanted to promote was simply just saying something and not really knowing what you were talking about was not going to work anymore. And this hot take culture that has spread like a virus would no longer be accepted. And this movement became undeniable. And ultimately, it forced the older guys like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless to either get on board or get left behind. And Stephen A. Smith embraced it. He was inviting on guys like JJ Redick, Draymond Green, and even basketball content creator Kenny Beecham to his shows. Also, he brought on many female analysts to his shows as well, and overall, he just found a good mix of being entertaining and actually talking the game, while Skip Bayless got left behind. Now, can he come back? I don't know, but one thing that you can't deny was that Skip Bayless changed the way that we talked about sports forever. Now, some of that was good, and some of it was bad, but you can't deny he had a big time impact on sports media. But anyways, let me know how you guys feel about the situation in the comment section down below. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.